Okay, good morning, dear friends. We're continuing in Sefer Chofetz Chaim, in Chofetz Chaim Yomi. This is the third day, so we're learning this daily B'li Neder. Okay, so before we establish a chazaka, we're learning this B'li Neder. We're up to day 3. I recommend you get a hold of a sefer. Most Sfarim today are broken up according to the Seder Yomi of the Manchester Rosh Hashiva. And okay, here we go. V'nira pashat shatam shechmira haTorah kolkach bezeh ha'avain. In my edition, it's Amud Gimel. It seems obvious the reason the Torah is so machmir about this sin. Why is the Torah so machmir about this sin? What are we getting so worked up about? That Lashon Harah is like murder, adultery, and idolatry? That Lashon Harah is like koifer be'ikr? That's the cause why Hashem destroyed the Beis HaMikdash? What's the big deal? Says the Chofetz Chaim, it's obvious. I'm not telling you a chiddush now. It's obvious that the reason is mishum shema'orer bazeh harbe es hamakatrek hagadol al klal Yisrael. It causes prosecution against the Jewish people. In other words, when a Jew speaks Lashon Harah down here in this world, it causes prosecution against the Jewish people upstairs. V'al hayreg kama anashim bekama medinais. And by doing so, it causes the death of many people in many countries. If a Jew in New York, after davening, says a word of Lashon Harah, he could cause the death of many Jews around the world. I'm not telling you my words, I'm telling you what the Chofetz Chaim is saying. Where does this come from? The Zohar HaKadosh. V'zel Lashon HaZohar HaKadosh Parshas Pekudei. It's Ruach Chada, there's a spirit. Dekaima akol inon mare de Lishon Abisha. That stands on all those who speak Lashon Harah. Dechad misare b'nei nasha b'Lishon Abisha. When people arouse themselves to speak Lashon Harah. Ayahu barnash de misare b'Lishon Abisha. Or if an individual arouses himself to speak Lashon Harah. Kedein at that moment, itar hahu ruach abisha. That spirit is aroused. Misa'ava, this contaminated spirit. Dila'ela from above. The name of the spirit, you ask? The ikri sachsucha. It's called sachsucha. V'ihu sharei alahu isarusa d'Lishon Abisha. It rests on that inspiration of Lashon Harah. Desharu b'nei nasha, that people begin with. So basically, it goes like this. There is a certain spirit that attaches itself and stands on those who speak Lashon Harah. That when people speak Lashon Harah, this spirit called Sachsucha attaches himself to it. It connects to that conversation. It then v'iyu Allah Eila, it goes above. V'garein ba'hu esar d'Lishon Abisha, and it causes through that Lashon Harah moisa, death, v'charba, and sword, ukatala, and killing ba'alma. So, if a person hears in the news that lo yaleinu, there was a disaster among Jews somewhere, it could have been caused by a innocuous, or what you thought was an innocuous comment about somebody that was disparaging. Woe to those who arouse that bad spirit, and they don't guard their mouth and their tongue, and they're not concerned for this, and they don't realize by arousing yourself down here, Talia isaru dila'ela. It's contingent on that, an arousal above, bein latav, bein lavish, whether for good or for bad. Now, you should know, that means that if you have the temptation to speak Lashon Harah, and you don't know, some people say, no, they mention a name and they say, you know, better not to say. Yeah, it was better not to say, but it would have been better not to say the name in the first place. So, but if a person has a temptation to speak Lashon Harah, and they don't say it, imagine how much protection they offer Klal Yisrael. V'kulu de'lo toren l'sar lahichiv yaraba. They are all prosecutors. All people who speak Lashon Harah are prosecutors to arouse the great snake, l'mehevi de'lo tor al alma, from prosecuting against the world. V'kulu begin hay isar d'Lishon Abisha. It's all because of that arousal of Lashon Harah. Kad kaima isarusa d'ilei l'sata, when that arousal exists in this world. Basically, Disaster in the world is precipitated by Lashon Hara. V'nuchal loymar, we could say, Shezeu kavanas haGemara de'erchin anal. This is what the Gemara in Eruvin that we mentioned before means. Kol ha'mesaper Lashon Hara, anyone who speaks Lashon Hara, magdil avoinois ad l'shamayim, magnify sin up to the heaven. Shenemar, shatu b'shamayim pihem, they set against the heaven their mouths, u'lashoinam tihalach ba'aretz, and their tongue walks on the earth. What does this mean? Perush, av shalashainai hu mahalech ba'aretz. Even if man's tongue is in this world, aval piv shas b'shamayim, but their mouth is set against the heaven. So a person can be walking in this world, and they think, all I'm doing is I'm saying words. Those words go up to the heavens and cause disaster. V'chein isa b'tanid v'elyahu. We find likewise in Tanid v'elyahu, shehalashon hara shu mesaper, that the Lashon Hara that we speak, hu oila ad keneged kisei hakavod, it arises to the throne of glory. Umizanu chaleda es goydel hachorban. From here we could get an inkling of the great destruction. Shemachrivim balei halashon es klal Yisrael, that the masters of Lashon Hara cause destruction among the Jewish people. So reason number one why Lashon Hara is so severe is that it kills people. If you hear that a Jew, chas v'sham, died, it might have been Lashon Hara, and the person who spoke it, he's responsible. Here's another reason. Here's another reason for the great pigam, the great ruination that comes through this sin. By a person causing a diminution and a ruination of his tongue by speaking improper words. He prevents all his words of holiness that he speaks from going upstairs. A person goes to Kaisal Maravi and he pours out his heart. He goes to a kever and he pours out his heart. And why are the tefillas not being niskabel? Says the Chofetz Chaim, because words of Lashon Hara can ruin the tool with which we use to say Dvarim Shabakdusha. V'zel Lashon Hazar HaKadosh Parshas Pekudei. This is the text, the wording of the Zohar in Pekudei. Uvahai Rucha Bisha. With this bad spirit, Talyon Karma Gardinin Achronin, is dependent on it many prosecutions. Di'inun Memunin La'achad Mila Bisha. These spirits are commanded and appointed to grab a bad word of Lashon Hara, a Mila Tinufa, or a dirty word. The Apik Bar Nashmi point that a person emits from his mouth. Ulabasar Apik Milan Kadishin. If after a person emits holy words, Vailoin, woe to him! Vailechayein, woe to his life! Vailoin b'hayalma, woe to him in this world! Vailoin b'alma da'asi, woe to him in the next world! Begin to ilain ruchin mesavin notlin hahu mila mesava. You see, these spirits of evil, they grab that word of Lashon Hara. So, you know what a word of Lashon Hara is? It's, imagine if they would have went to the chamber pot and grabbed out all the dirt and grime and excrement in it. That's what Lashon Hara is. And then the spirits take the Lashon Hara, the contents of the chamber pot, and they smear it all over the tefillah and the Torah. So they can't do anything. The tefillah and the Torah can't do anything. Begin to ilain ruchin mesava and notlin ahumila mesava. The spirits of evil take that contaminated word, and afterwards a person says a holy word, then those bad spirits grab that dirty word, and they contaminate and they defile that holy word, and a person cannot merit with it. It's as if a person loses his spiritual capacity. Says the Chofetz Chaim, haloi nira ba'alil mizar hakadosh. We see clearly from the Zohar, shekol divrei haTorah tefillah shalanu, heim oimdim ba'avir hashamayim. we see all the Torah we learn and all the tefillos we offer, they're stuck in the heavens. Ve'enam oilam lamala, they don't go up. Ume'ayin tavoi ezrasenu l'bias hamashiach. So how in the world are we supposed to help bring the Mashiach if we're incapacitated to daven and learn? Ukiyotze b'zeh. So if a person does tshuva on Lashon Harah, then retroactively all of his mitzvahs are returned to their former potency. But if a person doesn't, and the Chofetz Chaim writes, it's very difficult to do tshuva for Lashon Harah. If we delve into this, we'll see even further. Aside from the fact that it's a disastrous sin, like we mentioned before, it also brings destruction to all the upper worlds, and it darkens and it diminishes their light. Because it's very common for many people that they repeat this lav kama meos va'alafim pa'amim b'mei chayim, hundreds and thousands of times in their life. Ki afilu avayin katan, even a small sin, kishayachbel harbe pa'amim, when it's repeated numerous times, hunasa levasoif ka'avos ha'agala, in the end it becomes like the ropes of a wagon. K'moshe tzavach Yeshaya, as Yeshaya called out, Hai moishchei ha'avain, woe those who draw sin, bechavle hashav, in the ropes of vanity, v'cha'avois ha'agala chata, and like the ropes and chains of a wagon, the sin has become. Really? But it's just isn't it a small sin? How does it turn into a rope? The answer is, even a silk thread, if it's doubled and quadrupled, it will become an unbreakable rope. The parable is from a silk thread. When it's doubled over many hundreds of times. And certainly with this sin is not a silk thread. This sin itself is a chain of iron. It is inherently severe. And it's frequently violated by so many people. So many thousands of times in their lifetime. And they don't accept upon themselves at all to guard themselves. Certainly, the devastation above is inestimable. Rabbi Isai, have a beautiful Shabbos. Kol Tov. You're welcome to join us at 10:50 for Pesachenu Megadim. Have a good day, everyone. Agun Shabbos.